Yeah, and because he has no way of doing it, like recording it.
On Instagram,
right?
Yeah, that's what happened live today. It looks good here.
Okay,
I don't know if
it looks fine on mine. This PC is just stupid. Okay. All right. Brian, count down from 5, and then once you hit 1, just start the show.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
This is going to be interestingly different.
Oh, just doing it like normal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to the Gavel Strikes. I am Brian Wiedman.
And I'm Xavier Chavez.
And typically we do this live, but we're kind of we're going to be winging our way to Emerald City Comic-Con at the time that this is showing for you guys. So unfortunately we had to pre-record this.
Brian, you got to stop. Got to get off your Okay. Sorry.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
At least we didn't get through halfway through.
I know exactly. Okay. Countdown again and go into
That's hilarious.
Yeah, 5, 4, 3.
Wait.
I only got to 3 this time at least.
Okay, now you can go.
Forgot to hit record. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this time I have my badge off. Welcome everybody to the Gavel Strikes. I'm Brian Wiedman.
And I'm Xavier Chavez.
And this is actually take 2 for us because I had my badge on and we can't record the badge for some reason. I think it's a security reason, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we are not doing this live for the first time. We have to do this recorded because why?
We're going to be flying.
We're going to be in the air.
Pretty much. So
tomorrow
we'll
be like this the whole time.
Tomorrow we'll be at Emerald City Comic-Con in Seattle. So
hey, so if you are going to Emerald City, stop by. Both of us will be there. We'll be happy to see you,
and we'll be happy to talk comics.
We like talk comics,
comic art as well. So
yeah. So we will see you there. But we do have a great show for you today. If you do have questions or comments, especially questions, we will get to them. I promise. Just leave your questions at the end. Post them, and they will notify us, and we will answer as best we can. So even though we aren't live, we will still do our due diligence for you guys. Answer any questions that you have, any concerns that you have, comments
or needs or anything like that, or consignment questions. So
yeah, absolutely. So start out. We'll do what we normally do. And Xavier, you're first and foremost, as always, throwing the artwork at us.
It's already displayed. So as always, I've been saying in the last couple episodes that I think strip art is a little bit underappreciated, and there's a lot of great artists that did a lot of these strips prolifically. So these are just 2 of the many that we have in the auction. Again, we still have plenty of Milton Caniff, Terry and the Pirates, and Steve Canyons. We have Carol Days, which are excellent examples of line work. There's a bunch of little Abners as well, but these are 2 that I picked out. This is a Stanley Drake example. And it just has, again, beautiful renditions of women and nice line work, detailed. And this is another example here of Frank Godwin. And this is Rusty Riley. And again, great use of shadowing, inking, line work. And these are typical of what both artists do for their strips. Again, just beautiful examples that are reasonably priced, again. And there'll be several other strips in the weekly auctions to pick from. So.
And if you like art for art's sake,
yes,
a lot of people collect comic art because of the subject matter shown or whatever. But if you like art for art's sake, could you get any more beautiful than this?
Again,
I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous
and classic. Like again, the women smoking glasses. Again, the like the swamp or the lake, the water. The detail of the trees and the shadowing, again, it just doesn't get any better than some of these great artists that worked in the newspaper medium for decades, if not centuries. So there's been a bunch of great strip art. So here is another strip art, pretty much, and it's Heathcliff. And I brought this along because I'm a huge Garfield fan, and And there's always a big deal about Heathcliff and Garfield, the similarities, the color, the antics, and this is pretty much Garfield before there was Garfield, and he would get into similar scenarios, but it wasn't with just John and Odie in the house. Heathcliff would go around and get fish. There's another great gag in this week that has him throwing fish up in the air around a restaurant, and all the pelicans flying by and eating all the fish. This is a great one where the two zookeepers in the background are two visitors saying, "Did I hear the flamingo scream?" as Heathcliff is going up one of the flamingo's legs. So
Love it.
yeah,
I was always a Garfield fan. One of the coolest things I ever got to do, and I rub it in X's face all the time, is when we brought in the Jim Davis collection of all the Garfield strip, I actually got to go and help bring the collection
and that was great.
and count all the items. All I was there is to help count and pack the things up. But I have never had so much fun laughing because I would count these pieces of art and you just get these flashes of panels of crazy, you know how the facial, features he does, John with his hair straight up because he's, afraid or surprised or, things like that. As I'm counting all these, I'm laughing because I see these flashes.
And finding some of your favorite runs, I'm
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
And meeting Jim Davis.
He was so nice. It was just one of the coolest things. And then not only that, but just all the different things that you got to see. It wasn't just Garfield, but he had Garfield artwork that he had done. It was absolutely beyond belief.
He had the other strip, which is on the farm with the farm animals.
The funny
U.S. Acres.
Was it U.S. Acres?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
that's a great strip, by the way. Nobody really knows about that strip. U.S. Acres was another Jim Davis, strip art that was absolutely. It's really funny.
It was a cartoon as well before the Garfield cartoons.
Not that I didn't.
It was a short. They had a couple of those. So this one is a Golden Age art here, twice up, and it's a beautiful title splash with
Lee Elias.
Lee Elias.
Oh,
Again, it's
yeah.
a Lee Elias, and we have several Lee Elias pieces. If you don't like Black Cat, for example, we have a Lee Elias Power Man pages, which are superhero, much later than his Golden Age stuff. Again, very different. This one I brought along because, again, very reasonably priced at the moment, and title splash from the Golden Age. Great car. A lot of people like automobiles or trains, ships, and art. And this has, they're filming a movie, and it has the great director panel. But this panel in itself, if it wasn't for the girl yawning, it's a great gangster image, and it's the gangster playing in the movie. But again, just great art, great example. This is an example here where they would draw and they'd use like a little bit of scratching technique that it would actually scratch the art and the board, but it would create this texture and sense of movement for the car. So it's, again, great piece, reasonably priced. And Lee Elias, very, very famous name, which is going to go into a lot of these other pieces here, either famous names or famous titles that, again, are reasonably priced compared to some of the other pieces in our weekly auction. Weekly auction.
I love Lee Elias. I love Lee Elias.
And again, his horror stuff is very
That's
sought
what I
after.
love about him the most. Is his horror stuff.
But there's a lot of artwork in this weekly's auction, and some of it is already pretty high, and some of it is, again, comparatively, you're going to see a couple of comparative pages. So here we have Captain Marvel, and we've had a couple of Pat Broderick Captain Marvel pages in the last week and in this week. And I tried for one page last week that I really liked, and the prices jumped. I expect that the prices will jump on these pages that are on this weekly as well. But again, they're all under $1,000. And
right now.
Yeah, right now. And it'd be great to, again, Captain Marvel, one of the only superheroes that they killed off and pretty much have kept killed. Great page with him defeating the villain and heroically saving the girl, and then actually asking all the people on the outside to try to help the villain. So a great example of what we remember as Captain Marvel, the hero, and the reason that he was so beloved at the time, and crazy that they killed him off and kept him killed.
I'm a big fan of actually that. I don't like when they bring everybody back 1,000 times.
No.
If I were to, I've said this to you a bunch, but if I were to be in charge of Marvel, I could fix what I think fixed them in 5 minutes. But one of the things would be, if you kill somebody, they're dead. They're
real.
Not coming back.
Death is real.
There's a balance in comics. And my balance is always equated to the death of Gwen Stacy, which has always been one of my favorite storylines in Amazing Spider-Man. You kill Gwen Stacy in the next issue, Green Goblin dies. Now, back in the 90s, I stopped reading comics because of this. I stopped reading new comics. I lost my mind. They brought the original Green Goblin back. Well, that really skewed the balance of comics to me. Comics and the universe is balance. And when you take that away, then an injustice has happened, and I didn't like that. So I stopped reading comics. It really bothered me that much.
Well, it's crazy. Again, Spider-Man has two characters that have never come back. Gwen Stacy until recently with the other universes, of course.
Right.
But Uncle Ben, which is a very character development point because of what happened in the situation that Ben died. So
and rightfully so. Those incidences impact. We know this is fake. We know this is imagination. We know this, but we get, and you do too. I know you get invested in these characters so much that you feel they're real. And so I feel that an injustice has been done when you keep bringing them back. You can't bring them back. If they're dead, they're dead.
Again, it's a never-ending soap opera. Is basically what I've described comics as, and it's one of the longest running soap operas.
It's true.
Here we have, again, another example of a great artist doing a not really famous title. This is Jose Garcia Lopez, and it's Atari Force. Again, not a great title, but a great artist, and a page that's really, really reasonably priced compared to his other superhero stuff that he did for DC. Great paneling, great action. The difference between the dark inking and the negative space with the light. Again, great action, great page by a great artist, and reasonably priced if you want an example of that artist, but you don't need to break the bank to get a Batman or a Superman piece.
And even more so, Tommy, can you bring up the description of that? If you look at the description all the way down, at the end, it says, from the collection of Jose Garcia Lopez. This is actually from his personal collection. Absolutely unbelievable that we were able to get this in. And we do have in the next few weeks a bunch of items coming up, along with what are they? The binders, the printers,
the DC handbook. The handbooks, the who's.
Yeah, no, they're not the handbooks. They're the
character design.
Yes,
the character.
Thank you. It's driving me crazy. It's at the tip of my tongue.
So.
I do that. I'm old. I can do that. But his art is so well liked now. He's becoming more and more mainstream.
Oh, yes.
And we have things in the September signature sale from his personal collection. We have items in the November sale from his personal collection. Now we have stuff in the weekly from his personal collection. We have a lot of items coming from him. It's absolutely a joy.
And that's the other thing. And these have never been for sale. Nobody's ever seen or had the opportunity of getting these pages. So the people that win these are going to be the first people besides Jose Garcia Lopez to ever have these, and again, make them part of their collection and cherish them for years.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love it. Very excited. Very excited.
Here we have another popular title, X-Men title, Excalibur, and a splash, not a splash page, but a page that looks very detailed, splashy-like because of all the paneling, the way it's designed, and has a bunch of the X-Men characters, Havoc's in there, Strife's here, and stuff like that. So just a great page. You don't need to have a page from the actual Uncanny X-Men. You don't need to have a page from Jim Lee's run of X-Men. There's a bunch of X titles, X-Force, X-Factor, Excalibur like this.
I was
Again.
always a big fan of this title.
So and there's plenty of newer titles that they've created in recent years. So this is a great example of X-Men on an X title that is not the mainstream X title. So and a reasonably priced page with a bunch of X-Men on it. So it's a
Until
great
you
piece.
say so. and we noticed that we have noticed that, you know, have you noticed that you influence the market a little bit here now and then?
Again,
you open your mouth and
I,
we are careful about what we say.
So.
You know, we never say things are too low or anything like that. That's not our business. The market dictates, but I do notice that when we talk about things, they go up beyond my ability to afford.
Well, again, what we're doing is giving our opinion.
That's true.
And I'm giving my honest opinion of what I would pretty much, if I had unlimited funds, would just be buying left and right. So, and again, X titles, characters like this is what we would consider half splash. It's a Jan DeSermo page. She was very prolific in doing X-Men, Professor X and the X-Men. This is an X Factor page, and it's a beautiful page. You have Rogue, Nightcrawler, what's his name, Force or
Strife?
Forge.
Sorry.
And just a great, again, X title page, but not the main title. And it has main characters, half splash. Like I said, Jan did a lot of X-Men pieces, and just a great example if you want like a nice piece on your wall. And everybody loves Rogue. I know I do, so.
I like Nightcrawler. Forge took Storm's powers away and then gave them back at some point in the 200s of X-Men.
So, yeah. This is another example.
Cool page.
Well, there's a lot of Spider-Man. I brought this along because there's a lot of Marvel team-up pages, and some of them are already, I've been disgustingly outbid, and some pages are still under $1,000, and there's several of them by several different artists, and they're great detail. This one actually has, I think, layouts by Chaikin, and it has Spider-Man, Miss Marvel, and Doctor Strange on the page. And this one is, I think, half of the price of all the other ones that, again, they all have Spider-Man on them. One of them particularly has Black Cat with Dr. Octopus. Another one has Black Widow with Nick Fury and the Silver Samurai. Again, there's a lot of pages in this weekly auction, and there's a lot of selection for Spider-Man, and the market seems to be absorbing them. Sometimes we have the question by consigners of, are we putting too much of the same thing?
I get that question a lot, and the answer is no.
The answer is
especially with artwork, it's one of a kind.
And what happens sometimes with artwork, especially if there's a lot of similar pieces, is that if the person is not able to get that one, then particularly the piece that they wanted, they sometimes go down the line, especially if it still has Spider-Man, like all these Marvel team-up pages. And if you got outbid for one page that you wanted, well, now you have a little bit more funds to put on the other page. If you got outbid for two pages, now you have a little bit more funds to put on the third page, and that's what sometimes happens with collectors. So,
if you notice, there's a spot here on my forehead and X's forehead, because every time we want something and we get outbid, we start banging our head against the wall. It's a little frustrating. I mean, you got to understand, we have to bid just like you at home.
Yeah.
We don't get any extra insight. We don't get any benefits or any bonus.
We got to pay taxes.
We have to pay taxes. We have to bid, and if we want them, we have to outbid the person who wants it more. And so
we have to outbid dealers, collectors, investors.
It's very frustrating for us because we get to see all these things and we barely get any of it.
Again, at least we get to see it. So, and I get to take a nice
that's
picture.
not a good consolation. I want it.
I get to take a nice sad face picture sometimes.
Yeah, sad face picture. I've done a few of those for you.
So, and here we have another modern prolific artist, very popular, Jacques. He's done a lot of the Batman stuff, and his Batman titles have gone crazy. He did a Daredevil miniseries, which I regret not buying one of the covers because they were at $2,000, and now they are much more. Particularly his Batman stuff, like I said. He did some of the more popular covers, like the recent Joker cover with all the bats flying around that is graded in 9/8, several hundred, if not thousands of dollars. And again, very popular artist. This is one of the covers that he did for his early DC work, which is Scalped. And this is a great image of, again, a portrait of a woman. And it's kind of like a Dia de los Muertos type of feel to it. Not only in her face with the jawline, but also the tombs, and the nose is somebody kneeling. So a lot of symbolism, a lot of great detail, and an early cover by Jock, which is a very hard to get his mainstream superhero stuff. So
That's really a unique piece.
yeah, it's very nice. So
Now, is that done with India ink, or is that done in marker?
I think it has both. Sometimes you can tell. This area right here is definitely inking. Some of these areas where you see a heavier, it might be marker.
Gotcha.
So that's ink for sure.
Gotcha.
So sometimes they'll use different types of markers or different types of inks. So
Right.
it all depends, and it's very interesting. Some of these pieces, depending on the artist, and if you like them enough, I follow, for example, Paulo Rivera, which is one of my favorite newer artists, and you can see everything he uses, his brushes, his pens, his markers, the way he does everything. He'll actually sit there and sometimes film himself drawing. On some of the conventions, one of my favorite things to do is just stand by an artist and watch them draw, especially if they're one of my favorite artists. I love asking for sketches and just staying there and watching them do it. Not so much as it part of the process. I always love the fact, I love art, and I wouldn't be able to take a blank piece of paper and do this. So I just love the fact of watching them and seeing where they start. Sometimes they'll start with eyes, sometimes they'll start with the face, sometimes they'll start with the body and keep on creating. It's very interesting how their mind and the piece progresses as they're doing it. So
yeah, it's interesting to me that you can take a blank piece of paper, because I can't draw a stick figure. It's interesting to me to see somebody who can visualize a blank piece of paper and turn it into that,
yes,
knowing that's what they wanted the whole time, and me going, I don't know how you came up with that, or how you even came up with just these lines around the eyes and the eyebrows. They're so different to me. I couldn't do it, and so it's incredible to me.
So, again, that's why I love art. It fascinates me. It fascinates the whole mind. I'm an analytical person, I'm curious, but I just don't have that part of my mind where I can just create something. I can visualize something, but it doesn't translate from my mind to my hand.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I can do that. I can see a bird.
Yeah.
I can see a dog, and I can go, okay, I'm going to draw that. No, that's not what it looks like.
So
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So that was all the art for this week. We'll leave that there as a nice. Well, actually, we'll leave the Lee Elias 40s since
You're
you
going
like
to leave that for me?
Yeah.
Nice.
There you go.
Because I'm going to go and look at it as soon as I'm done with this. Oh, boy. I love that. I actually love that part of the splash.
yeah.
It's gorgeous.
And again, like I said, some people like cars.
She looks like she's twisting his neck off. That's a riot.
I hope she's jumping out of that car, because that's going to go off that bridge
Well,
into that
she's
water.
probably not. So at least as far as I can see, it's pretty awesome. So, on to our next segment, what would Wiedman want? We did say, I love that you coined that. Every time I say it now, I'm like, that's pretty cool. But we did say that this was going to be the signature sale episode, but it's actually not. That's the next one.
We got ahead of ourselves.
We were off a few weeks,
Yeah.
but that will be the next one. That will be the last.
And we'll be live. So.
Yeah, that'll be the last show before the signature sale. So we'll have all cool stuff. Although I did bring a couple cool books this time.
And you bought something that I always like seeing. So.
Oh, this, I guess I'll start with that. So I don't know if anybody has ever really seen this. Most people probably haven't, but this is the first Overstreet price guide. And it makes me cry. Now, this was 1970.
Yes,
1970. This is the first print. The blue one is the second print. And do you remember what an Action Comics #1 goes for in this?
I think it was like $1,000.
No. No.
I think
And
it's
Action
it's
Comics-
$100 or $150, and Amazing Fantasy 15 is $15
no, Action Comics #1 in mint.
in mint.
Is $300.
$300.
$200 in good.
Well, that's a big that's way off today.
If I would have bought one in 1970, of course, I wasn't even 2 years old yet. In fact, I wasn't even born yet. I was born in 72. If I would have bought that in 1972 at whatever price that was, I would have made a fortune. Well, what does an Amazing Fantasy 15 say? I think it's $75.
No, I think it's like 10 or 15.
No, it's not that low.
Yeah, I think so.
No. Amazing Fantasy 15. $16. You are right.
Yeah, that's
For a mint.
$16
in 1970.
The Silver Age was extremely low.
Oh,
You
does
could've
that make my head hurt? We do like looking through those, but then we
it's-
also cry half the time.
Yeah.
Why didn't we? Well, I wasn't born, but even 5 years, 10 years later, my mom could have been buying that stuff, and I would have been.
Or you could have been asking your mom, "Oh, I really want this for my
I'd have
birthday
been a
or
filthy
Christmas."
millionaire. No, they wouldn't have done it. My mom never would have done it. She never would have done it.
My friend had to, the guy I worked with for a very long time and taught me everything. He had to ask his mom, and she had to buy it hidden because the dad would have freaked out that he bought an X-Men one for $75.
If only. If only. I hear the stories all the time. It drives me insane. But anyway, that wasn't even really part of what Wiedman would want. Well, yeah, what Wiedman would want back in 50 years ago.
Can I get that at the price of 1970?
Right?
Thank you.
The guide says. I heard that a lot over my decades.
Yes.
The guide says.
Especially before CGC. The
Right?
guide says.
Yeah. I mean, I was one of them saying that. I never paid over guide. Collecting now is so different than collecting 25 years ago. The guide was the guide. The CGC didn't exist, and nobody paid above guide prices. They did not pay above guide prices
in the middle of the United States.
That's true.
Like in New York, Miami, and California, because I'm from Miami. In New York, Miami, and California were the three pretty much places that you could get a premium. But everywhere else, everybody.
Yeah, the Midwest.
Walked
we
around
were
with
cheap.
walked around with an Overstreet, and they would analyze and they would look up and they would see, oh, you priced this $5 too much, and it's just like, really?
That's very true. People did that in the Midwest. Midwest, all the way to the Rockies. So it was really Rockies all the way to probably Ohio, Pennsylvania. Once you started hitting the East
the
Coast,
Rockies to the Appalachie.
Yeah. That's really true. The whole breadbasket of America.
So,
oh, you lunatics on either side of the country.
We just got way too much money to spend.
That's what it is. That's what it is. So, starting off with, what Wiedman would want, aside from his $300 Action Comics #1, that is not a reprint, by the way, first print, incomplete. I'm just saying, Christmas present would be nice.
I'll take a page.
Right. These are two of my favorites.
Oh, I love the new covers that you're doing. Yes.
Love these Archie Afterlife of the Archie variants, and if you've never read the story, they're pretty cool. It's the zombie apocalypse comes to Archie, but these two variant covers.
Did you remember why it starts? I think it starts because Jughead ate a bad burger.
No. It's because Lucky, his dog, got ran over by Reggie. And Reggie took the dog to Sabrina
and brought it back?
And brought it back to life, bit Jughead, which then starts the zombie apocalypse.
Okay. I knew Jughead was involved. So.
Yeah. So these two covers are very pre-code horror-ish covers. Yes. And which is why I absolutely love them so very much. You have Betty and Veronica and Very Good Girl in lingerie. And you cannot get any better than this. This is about as beautiful of artwork. I would kill to have this original artwork. These are absolutely stunning.
And Andrew P. Boy does his originals. I bought from when he was doing Fables.
These to me are the ultimate modern age. This is from 2013, and I would fall over myself trying to get these originals. They are, but even these 9/8, these are, this is it. These are up, and this week's auction just started today. Today's Tuesday, right? Today's
Tuesday.
not Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. That would be it. I would be going after those. If I were you, I have raw copies myself. I don't have 9/8s or there are 9/6s. I don't care. I just want them.
the cover.
They're awesome.
Well, that's another thing that some people in the recent Overstreet had been discussing, because I'll read the articles, and there's been a shift where it was people, the newer generation, are buying some of these comics just for the cover, like a lot of the Golden Age.
Right.
And you can see that with covers like that and the prices. There's a Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes of her sitting on a comet or a meteor. And that's $1,000. And there's nothing in that story, or there's not a first appearance, there's not an origin, or there's nothing other than that cover. And
it's a variant too. That one is.
It's a variant, but that's the thing. We're seeing some of the newer generation also collecting for the cover image, like if it would be art. And you were seeing that as a new trend. And it's once a book is encapsulated, you can't really look on the inside.
Yeah, so there are a few markets that we know of for sure. One of them is the CGC market, because you have it, it's encapsulated, you can't read through it. There's still a collector's market out there that likes to read their books. There is a market out there who hates encapsulated books. That's just, and I used to be one of those people. I always wanted to be able to see my books, read them, whatever I wanted to do. Now I understand, working with Heritage, I understand why we do it. But those markets do exist. And so that's the cool thing about our hobby, is there's not one right way to collect. It's however you really want to do it. And the way you do it,
the method to your madness is your
it's
method.
yours. And so it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just what's important to you. The next book I brought was a book that is pre-code horror, is also a bondage cover, but it's a Venus number 17. And this book is kind of tough. These Venuses are very, very difficult. It's an Atlas book, which was an iteration of Marvel before Marvel became Marvel. If you don't know the progression, it was Timely, then Atlas, then Marvel. And in the 1960s with Fantastic Four, Marvel was actually the title. But until then, it was Atlas.
And Stan Lee and Kirby actually published some stuff under Atlas, from Journey into Mystery and stuff like that.
So it was Atlas through the early Journey into Mystery and then,
titles and stuff like that.
Right. So this book, Pre-Code Horror, these Venus books are very hard to get, especially because a lot of them are black covers. Even in a 1.5, this is a decently nice 1.5. Not a big fan once you get below 1.8 myself, but I would be going for this book because this is a tough book. Absolutely gorgeous.
Sometimes
bondage cover, skeleton cover, love it all.
Sometimes the cover, it's even if it is a grade, the grade is the reason. It's because of this is missing. But you don't have where it's like a 1.8 or a 1.5 because the cover looks like it's been crushed and then ironed out. You have a lot of the action. You can see all the action that you need to see. It's a 1.5 that presents very well.
Right.
That's
I've never been a fan of saying that because I always feel like I'm saying it's qualified or something like that.
Again, it presents very
it's a
well.
1.5.
But
I understand what you're saying. I can't say it. It drives me insane. It just
again, the prices of those books, I'll be happy to get a 1.5 that looks like that.
Right. Well, and that's just it. Not all 1.5s are equal.
Yeah.
You could be missing a major piece off the cover, way more than what you saw there, and it would still be a 1.5.
Or it'd be on the back cover, and
the
front cover would be perfect.
Right.
Or not all 9/8s are created equal.
That's very true. The next book I have is an Avengers #1. Now, listen, we see a lot of these books, you and I, right? We see a lot of AF-15s. We see a lot of Avenger 1s. We see a lot of the key Silver Age books, but
especially Silver Age.
This, what would Wiedman want? 2.0 Stanley signed because he's not, I miss him. I really do. I miss his voice. His voice is very iconic to me from my early childhood. I used to watch Spider-Man and his Super Friends.
The announcements of him coming to the show.
I used to miss his voice. And so his voice was with me for over 40 years of my life. And so I missed that. But what would I want? I'd want a 2.0 copy of Avengers, 1. Why? Because I could possibly afford something like that. I can't personally, but if I had to afford a copy, a 2.0 signed by him would be one I could have, potentially afford. This would be a book that I want. And he signed it in an area that is not going to kill me, because typically sometimes he does sign on a face or on the title logo, even though it's on a word bubble.
But it actually looks cool.
It looks good
on the word bubble. It looks good.
This one I would definitely want. It's in the right area for me. So this would be one I would be going after this week, just to say I had my 1.0 copy. I brought a lot of pre-code horror. I didn't intend to, but
there's a lot in the weekly.
There is. I wound up bringing a lot, not intentionally, mainly because I get pretty tired of bringing all the Silver Age keys all the time and things like that, because I can show you an AF-15 every time we have a show. These are pretty neat. These are Basil Wolverton covers. These are Weird Tales of the Future 2 and 5, two of the more classic covers for Weird Tales of the Future. He's very famous for these odd landscape picturing,
very detailed
aliens. Yeah, detailed, but they don't look right either. It's really neat. So Wolverton had this perspective to me that is really cool, like the monster in the city, crashing through the city Godzilla style, but that's not a normal looking monster. He looks like the creature from Fifth Element, if you've ever seen that movie.
It's like his mad work, like the barflies,
right?
It's all the different people and it's the exaggerate. It's a caricature, but it's an
exaggeration, right?
But he is very unique to the style that he renders them in.
And then the girl looking through the spaceship, space window, and it's this weird looking, alien creature. And I think that's what alien life would be a little more like. It'd be a little odd. I think we wouldn't be able to really wrap our head around it. But these are both 2.0. This is a 2.0 and a 3.0. And these don't come up for sale very often in general. And they certainly don't come up in the weeklies very often. Usually if they're up, they're up in a signature sale. So I would be jumping on these for sure if you have a chance. If you like pre-code horror, these
or
are
you like Basil Wolverton.
Or you like Basil Wolverton.
There's people that collect just his stuff. So.
His stuff is pretty cool. I like it. It's pretty neat. The next one is our last one for the weekly sale. And then I'll show you two other really cool books that I brought from the signature sale.
Okay.
I did overkill. I brought a little bit, we said we were going to do it. And then I actually knew somebody who was having a tour today, and we brought out big books for him. So I thought I'd bring a couple since they were already out. I think I just lost my mic.
No, you still got it.
I thought I lost my mic. This book, if we want to talk about Rare and Tough, who is next number 5 is Rare and Tough. This book is what really started the ultimate cluster, and I won't finish that word, for the comic industry. This book is what kind of started the rating. This was the last straw. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. When this book came out, they said, that's it, we're raiding everybody. And that was pretty much the downfall of comics, was right at this time.
Who was the publishing company called?
This is Standard Comics.
Okay.
Standard and I would say Magazine Enterprises, two of the toughest publishers to find in high grade.
Yes.
If you can find anything above a 6.0 with Standard or Magazine Enterprises, you have something special, because these books are normally in 1.5 like this is, all the way up to 4.5, and 4.5 is usually a higher grade for
nice
them.
grade, yeah.
They fall apart like that.
They were just not taken care of. A lot of the more sought after issues are in that sweet spot where it's like 50 to 55 that it's impossible to find. So
right, the storyline of this is really cool. It's please don't let me kill again, or please don't let me kill. We actually sold with the Black Hat collection. The Black Hat collection had the story to this book.
Really?
And we sold that story, and it is one of the coolest stories. It's just a guy who has a serial killer predilection before serial killing was a coined term, and he was literally begging people to stop letting him kill. That was kind of the title of the theme of
That's cool.
I need to kill, but don't let me do any more. And they got him in the end. But that's kind of the whole story. But that's the image of the front is about that story. Who is next, and don't let me kill again. So
That's cool.
I did bring books from the signature sale, and I brought some doozies. One of them I couldn't resist. May as well go big or go home, right? Detective Comics 27. Prior to working here, I had never held one. I had held almost every major key first appearance, Sensation 1. I had actually held a couple of Action Comics ones prior to working for Heritage, but until last year. Last year was
the one that I read it. Like that was the only key that I had read the
year
story.
and a half, I had never held one. I could never find one. We had never had a blue label until about last year since I had worked here. So it was nice to finally hold a blue label that I could actually say I held a Detective Comics 27. Now I've held a few, so my bucket list is empty for comic wise. But this is in the sale, and this says, this is restored. A small amount of color touch on cover. It did fall. See, I told you it fell. I apologize. I did lose my mic. You said I still had it, you liar.
I didn't. I guess. I don't know.
Technical difficulties on my mic. Sorry. Xavier can't clearly see. I don't even know how that goes in there. There we go. Good Lord. Sorry about that. So this has color touch on the cover, spine split, sealed the cover, and cover reinforced, cover cleaned, interior lightened. But you notice that what they don't say is there aren't any pieces added, which is usually a big no-no. So for a little bit of color touch, now, of course, when CGC says a little bit of color touch, it could be half the book. So you can see there's some, you probably can't see it, but there is some here, and there's probably a bunch along the spine. However, there not being any pieces added, that's not normal. Usually there's pieces added. So this is an awfully clean cover for not having pieces added. And obviously the spine is sealed, so maybe it had split at some point all the way down. Still, this, you want to talk about presents well. Oh, yeah. This is about as presenting well as you could possibly want for not having pieces added and having a major amount of restoration done. So that is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Again, that's one of those books that it's just like in any shape, you'd be happy to have one.
I would be okay with the restored copy of this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be complaining too
I've
much.
actually seen an Action 1 that looked brand new because it was so restored.
Yeah,
but
and I'm not a fan of that.
But it looks great.
It does. Great. It looks too good, almost too good. Yeah. Whatever. Get your copy when you have a chance. That's really what it is. The next one I brought was the 5.0 Captain America #1, and
this is one of those books that I would love to have.
Oh, who wouldn't?
But again, I'm a bigger Marvel fan than DC.
I am too.
Stuff.
I am.
So.
I will never say boo about Batman.
Oh,
I do love Batman, and I do love
Superman.
Batman's his origin and all that stuff. I think it's cool.
Oh yeah,
a lot more chippy than Batman. I mean, Superman. Superman is kind of like Captain America to me, a little too Boy Scoutish for me. He never wrestles too much with his conscience. But
see, the order for me would be Captain America, Marvel Comics, Detective, and Action.
That you would want to own?
In that order.
That you would want to own, or
again, the action,
historical importance.
Yeah, well, and again, Action. I mean, I'd love to have an Action 1, but it's just like the joke that Jerry has always. It's like, what'd you do with an Action 1? Well, I'd sell it to get a Detective 27.
Right, exactly. Yeah. We have a buddy that's a big Batman fan. So if he did have an action one, that's exactly what he would do. He would sell it so fast so he can get his Detective 27. So this Cap 1 is historically important because this is the first image or first book to put Hitler on the cover. It is the first appearance of Red Skull. It is the first time in the war, and this was March of 1941. So this is pre-United States War. But at this point, we knew how bad Hitler was. And historically, we were already throwing the propaganda machine out there. And we knew it was only a matter of time before we were getting in the war. It was just a matter of time. And this started really the push, I think. And after this, you see very, very, after this, you see buy war bonds, do this, help the war effort. This was a major, and this made one staple or two. I would assume two. Yeah, two staples. Yeah, so they hadn't started rationing yet at this point. Not until 42, 43, I think, is when they started rationing staples, rationing paper.
43, I think.
Yeah. So historically, very, very important book. 5.0 coming up in this signature sale in September, which is going to go live here in the next week or two.
Yeah.
Probably next 2 weeks. So it's getting to be time. And if you guys, we have 5 signature sales a year. Now I talked to Sports today, and Mike said he has 8. Eight signature sales a year. So they're actually working on the next sale before this sale is even done. Yeah. But I have to say, it's very important with the signature sales that you guys know our deadlines now are so cramped and so hard that when this sale goes off, the next deadline will be 1 to 2 weeks away tops. Yes. So if you want to get things in for the signature sale, and you want to contact us with things, start talking to us now, because we are going to be overloaded with last minute, and we just don't have time for everything. It's not that easy.
And that's what happens when stuff gets pushed back to the next sale. So.
Right. So, and the next sale is not going to be till the end of January, beginning of February of next year.
Yep.
So it is announced. I do have a pre-code horror auction in March. So we will have, if you have pre-code horror that you would like to get in for that sale, the October one is closed. It is completely full with one consigner. That was a special auction. We will have another one because they are going so well. So Xavier, if you have any clients that have come to you and have pre-code horror, by all means, if you guys out there have any pre-code horror you want to get into that sale, that's the sale. Trust me, it'll be really good.
We always try to fit all the material in the best sales possible.
Right. So. Right. And believe me, if we put pre-code horror in the weekly sale, we're not saying it doesn't belong anywhere else. It's just we have at the time.
Yes. It's just that we don't have 300 books to make an auction.
Right. So that is it for us. And you know what? If I can get an answer from one of my bosses, we will either next time. I'm hoping next time, but if not, the contest is coming soon. I promise. Yes. We will have a contest. It will be for a prize, a legitimate prize. Okay, and as soon as I can get details on that, we will give them to you. I would like it for next week, because then we can have a closest to the bid for a signature sale item. Yeah, that would be kind of neat. Yeah. But stay tuned. We will have a contest. But that's all for us. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm at brianw@ha.com, or you can reach me at my Instagram handle, Heritage Comics Grader. And then Xavier?
I'm Xavier C at ha.com. And again, I run the Comic Art Fan. So if you see anything on artwork there, or you see me post anything, you can always comment to me there, and it goes to my direct email. So. And
then what's your phone number? So people.
The office number is 214-409-1559.
Right, and mine's 214-409-1279. If you guys want to just call us direct, we'll be able to help you that way too.
And that's impressive that we remember those numbers.
It's because it's not on my cell phone and it doesn't just direct dial to
yes,
work, you know.
so.
So thanks for joining us, even though we aren't really here. But hopefully we'll see you at Emerald City Comic Con.
Yes.
If we don't see you then, feel free to leave a comment or a question, and we will get back to you. Thank you, everybody. This has been The Gavel Strikes. We absolutely love this show, and we will continue to do this every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Stop by at Emerald City and ask us anything. So
I'm Brian Wiedman.
And I'm Xavier.